Alright, in this video we're going to be talking about hose testing and the hose management and the documentation on the hose itself with some safety notes. So during the hose testing for 3-inch and below, we are going to be using the hose testing machine, and we're going to be stretching to lengths no more than 300 feet. The hose needs to be the similar size for the duration, so don't put 3-inch to 2.5 to 1 3/4 on the same section. They all need to be independent on each one of the test outlets. As you're putting these out, we want to make good straight runs. We don't want kinks, bends, anything like that in the hose that will cause additional stress. So once the tanker supplies the water to the pump, we are going to have all of our outlets filled or hoses attached. If we do not have a hose on it, we will cap that discharge and tighten the coupler. We will go through and tighten the couplings with a spanner to a decent torque, but don't muscle it too hard. And do that for the all of the couplers and sections of your hose. Turn the water on and allow the hoses to fill to approximately 50 psi. You're going to be able to see any hose coupler leaks at that point, and we want to use that time to mark the hose and the couplers for hose expansion. Our preferred method is a number 2 pencil. This will wash off over the next year, and next year we won't have dated marks on the coupler. Unfortunately, a majority of our hoses are already marked with a Sharpie, and they're going to have that mark from previous years on them. At any point, if we have a coupler and the Sharpie or number 2 pencil line move more than 3/8 of an inch away from the aluminum body, that hose has failed testing, and we'll need to mark it out of service and record it appropriately. So at 50 psi, all of your hoses are stretched out, water's filled, we've marked our couplers, and we have no leaks. At that point, we're now ready to build pressure. We're going to turn the pump on and allow it to start building. At this point, no one will go near the hose. We'll stay 15 feet or further away, and we will be in fire helmets and gloves minimum. We're going to allow the hose to build to pressure at 250 psi, and we're going to let the duration of the test sit for 5 minutes once it hits the 250 psi mark. Once the test is complete and all sections have passed, we've had no leaks, we're going to shut the pump down and then go to the end of the hose and bleed off the pressure slowly for each line. One thing to note is that the primary discharge on our Delta pump, which is the top middle, does have a one-way valve in it. The other ones have a one-way valve, but this one functions correctly, and so you'll have to bleed off the pressure on each line individually. One does not bleed off the entire. Once we have tested, drained, we will walk the hoses out, and then hoses that need to be dried will be hung on the rack and stored inside the station of Bay 1 or 2, or Station 1 or 2, for them to be dried and then rolled or put back in service. So, once the hose has completely passed, we'll need to use an industrial Sharpie or a Sharpie Pro and mark the year on the female coupler end of the hose. Please mark it on the same side as the other years. And so most of our hoses, we've started this in 2017, they should have a 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, and now 22, and so on. At any point, the hose marking or identifying numbers for the district will be a 2 number, a 4 number, or a 5 number. If those are starting to fade, use that time and mark that appropriately. But we should have good solid numbers with a Pro Sharpie for the year and the RMFD identification number. All right. What a miss.